Now, this is a numerology video. So if you're not into numerology, move on past it. But if you want to learn about numerology or you have questions about numerology, this video is for you. So I had this question today, and it's a very valid question. And the question basically is, I don't understand numerology and its place in my life or what it's about. So numbers are the basis for our entire existence. If you look at the world, anywhere in the world, it involves numbers. You count the number of days that you live, right? You start with your birthday, you go with your end day. You start the hours, you count the hours in a day. You count the weeks, you count the years. Everything is counted. When in healthcare, everything that we do is measured and it's tied back to a number. Some things are just positive or negative, but most things are tied back to something that you can quantitate. Numbers are so important. There's even a book in the Bible called Numbers, right? And even in religion, there's people who are looking at numbers, and I mentioned this to the person that, hey, people are like 7 is the number of God. Why would someone say that if 7 wasn't an important number? So numerology is like any other ology. It's the study of numbers. And I have been doing that for over 20 years. And I can tell you, back in my early days, I actually used to go to what they call psychic fairs. And I would not go to the psychic fair as a psychic, although I have the gift of sight. I would go to the psychic fair as a numerologist because I wanted people to understand numbers and how they impact your life. Now, I'm a scientist, right? So I want to educate people so they can be aware of the numbers and see the different patterns. But of course, most people were more interested in what I could tell them about their future and their life instead of about doing the work and understanding themselves or understanding themselves. Numerology in my world helps you to understand yourself, your relationships in different situations. So a lot of people have a problem with breakups, and they're like, I was with someone and I loved this person and I really thought we had a connection. But when I actually look at their numerology chart and what I call the 7 major aspects of their numerology chart, I see areas where it becomes toxic. One of the most important thing is the attitude number. And I made a video briefly mentioning attitude number. But the attitude number is really important in relationships because your attitude, your true attitude towards life is going to show up whether you want it to or not. Another thing that's important is the years that a person is in, because you can be with a person and you guys have compatibility, but if that person's going through a cycle that's really traumatic, really difficult, and you're not, and you can't understand them, then it causes conflict. So sometimes people break up and and I'm not talking about these times where people were like in narcissistic abusive relationships. I'm talking about times when people break up when most everyone is like, they were so good together and they're still friends. They're still friends because they do have a compatibility, but maybe not enough to be in a relationship, right? So are numbers only important in your romantic relationships? No. There's entire companies out there that name their businesses based on the number because there's certain businesses that are far more successful, and they've done studies to see that these numbers have a certain vibration. These businesses have a certain vibration. So they vibrate to, say, a number 6. And the name of your business really should reflect the number or energy that you want to put out there, because each number is just that. It is an energy. So when you have a number of 1, you're in the energy of 1, leadership, new beginnings, innovation. That is important on one level, not nearly as important as having a number 6 if you're in education and teaching and working with the mind, or number 7 if you want to be someone who studies a lot and a marine biologist or a priest or goes into religious things, because the 7 is a very not just religious but intuitive number. If you look at people such as Jesus the Christ, Buddha, they had master numbers of teaching, meaning getting a message out to others that people were willing to follow. Gandhi, people like that. If you look at actors, most successful comedians or actors or people in radio or where they speak, they have 3s in different parts of their chart because 3s are the number of communication. So numerology can have an impact on multiple levels. And it also has an impact when you just have platonic relationships, such as with people at work. You meet certain people, and right away, you guys are like gelling, right? You may have similar numbers that make things kind of vibe for you. But you also meet people that you immediately is like, eh. And that's because you might have numbers that don't go together. And there's nothing wrong with each individual. It just means that those numbers do not gel well together. They don't play well in the sandbox with each other, right? So that's what numerology is in a nutshell, and a little bit about the importance of different numbers. Of course, there's a life path number, there's a destiny number, there's a heart's desire number, there's a personality number, there's hidden numbers, there's karmic debt numbers. And there's also a such thing as a 4 is not a 4, or a 2 is not a 2. Because 11, which is 1 plus 1, is 2. The 11 is a higher vibration than the 2 itself. Or 4 can be 13 and 4. 13 is actually a karmic number, whereas 2 plus 2, 22, is a higher level of the 4, and it's actually a master number. So there's different levels to the numbers, and what I have done is created my own explanation for the numbers based on my 20 years of study and looking at how the numbers really work and how they actually go together. I look at different things that I don't think other people look at when it comes to numerology, and that for me has been helpful in predicting the success or the failure of relationships and the timing of the failures of the relationships as well. So that's what I did. And then also someone was asking, well, I was with someone and I just kind of want to reflect. It is good to reflect on the numbers and what they meant in that relationship and look and see how that relationship was for you as a whole, so that you can understand yourself and what your triggers are. Because what numerology does is gives you your numbers, and then when someone else enters your space, it helps you to understand if their numbers will go with your numbers, because you can't change the numbers. Another thing that people ask me about numerology is if they're already with someone and they have toxic numbers, right? What can they do? Can it work? Yes, it can. When you have toxic numbers, it means it's going to be more work. You have to put in more of an effort. And the numbers, depending on how many degrees of separation you have between the person, as tells you how much work you have to put in and what you have to do in order to make it successful. What I have found is that most people are not willing to put in that extra work to actually make it successful. Therefore, it just becomes challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge, and boom, it just ends, right? Or they stay married and just don't do anything about it, live separate lives and things of that nature. Okay, so that's where numerology is helpful. And this is something that I've been doing at least for 20 years, seriously for 20 years. Before then, I just kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but seriously studying the numbers and the patterns for 20 years. And I actually have found that it has even applied with my jobs, with cities I go to, and how they resonate with who I am as a person or don't resonate with who I am as a person. So I hope this video helps somebody who's seeking to learn about numerology and understand more about numerology. If you want me to do a reading for you, you have to message me, because y'all know my website is going through a update because I have finally gotten the new name of my business in place. So you're just going to have to message me for now. All right. Have a great one, everyone. Be well. Pay attention to those numbers.